sunk an enemy destroyer.
Hey team, it's Ripper here. Hope you guys are doing fantastic today. Got a really fun video and good topic to talk about is World of Warships past and present. Where are we and where are we heading? So where we came from, where we're heading. But before we begin, like, subscribe, bell button below if you want to support the channel. Thank you guys for all the friendly comments, support, and just growing this family. If you like what we're doing here, love to have the support, and we can't thank you guys enough. At 2,000 subs, we're going to give a free premium DD giveaway, and we're excited to do that. And as always, leave a comment below of what we can do to get better. So let's get right to it. What is World of Warships today? And actually, before you begin, where did we come from? So let's cut to a couple footage here of the old World of Warships. So this is 2015. That's almost, what, 8 years ago now? And this is what gameplay used to look like. Now, granted, I wasn't around playing this game around that time. I think I joined like right before COVID happened, around the 2019 timeframe, so maybe halfway through the life of this game. I noticed it in a commercial. I saw it and was like, wow, let me try this. There's no really other game out there like this that I've searched around. Maybe like War Thunder and a couple other kind of sea battleships games, but this one actually took the attention from me really well, and just noticed the game. Oh man, this is awkward shooting, and man, but I saw a commercial for it, and the cinematics were awesome, which drew me to it. And ooh, look at this, the old carrier gameplay. Check this out. The old carrier gameplay was incredibly weird and interesting, more of like a, I would say, turn-based strategy game, or maybe real-time strategy game where you're clicking and kind of like Command and Conquer back in the day. If you guys remember that, Age of Empires, where you're literally clicking on units and kind of moving them around. And this kind of brings me back to the old school days of Age of Empires and Civilization and kind of games like that. And this is how carrier gameplay used to look like, if you didn't know already. I'm sure a lot of you veterans out there do remember and recall the hate that this kind of gameplay got. I mean, look, you're just pointy clicky, and you're dropping torpedoes on a target. Look how easy and frustrating this can be. And I think there was a lot of feedback about how overpowered and how just unbelievably broken this kind of model was for carrier. Look at, you're pretty much just nuked the carrier right there, right off the bat. And imagine if you're just a regular battleship or cruiser, just getting dunked on by constant streams of someone in the sky pointy clicking things and just dropping things on top of you. And there's really nothing you can do about it other than click O and somehow get maybe some kind of focused fire at the time, and that was the mechanic of the day. That's how you defeated the carrier battle group. So anyways, but we've come a long way, but now you notice CVs are a little bit different if you're playing it today, where you're actually controlling the airplanes themselves and flying them around and manually flying, and this is kind of turned into kind of like World of Airplanes now, and instead of World of Warships, keyword. And that's something I wish we would go back to, where the roots of this game are really just you using ships to maneuver around to get good position, using accuracy through skill, and actually seeing if you can hit targets, and enjoying the gameplay from teamwork. And this is, oh wow, Montana gameplay for 2015. Now, Montana was one of the best battleships that I got at the very beginning of 2019 when I first joined this game, and it was really fun. I mean, just, 12 guns of massive 409 millimeter or 405s, 4 or 5 millimeter guns, just blazing and just launching shells in the air. And this is the first gameplay. Look at this. Oh man, blasting that Baltimore. And man, look at the graphics upgrade. You got to admit, the graphics have updated. So the graphics department has done a great job of actually. Look at it now. I mean, looking from, what is it, 480p, now you're looking at 4K kind of style quality gameplay. Major difference. I mean, look at the water effects, the maneuverability, the ship details, even the UI interface. You can see it's a lot better. And, this is my favorite part. When you get an air carrier stuck in the open right here and just grounded, and you're just pretty much a little destroyer doing your best. This is probably, enjoy the footage right here where you're just watching me sink the Malta, which is also an overpowered aircraft carrier. But anyways, having fun with a destroyer blowing up a carrier is fun as well. But the gameplay's a little different these days. You notice like there's arms race now that we're currently playing, where you're having power-ups and things like that, kind of really arcadey. As the game was already arcadey enough in 2015. And I never played 2015 gameplay. It had updated at least 4 years worth, but it's kind of similar. I mean, look around the UI interface. It's this kind of similar sound effects. The sound has been a little upgraded with better kind of background 3D noise. You also have maybe the shells are different. They're impacting and blowing up a little differently now. You can see that as opposed to the first gameplay you saw. The torpedoes move, explosions are different. You even get this nice little boom, look at that explosion, and a little nice little after effect. Those are different. Shell splashes are different, you can see right there. And then, of course, you got the compass is a little different. The names and the throttle and the sounds and the minimap are kind of similar, I noticed. Just looking back at the gameplay, and here's another frustrating. Submarines are at it. I mean, look, I did everything I could. I got the high drop shooting. I'm following. I'm chasing. I'm supposed to be, a DD trying to hunt submarines down, but unfortunately, no cigar. I get blown up, and this is another frustrating part of it. This submarine gameplay is just, and they just addressed this. Flamu and all them did videos of the new updates that's coming soon in the next maybe couple of months of they're reworking submarines because why? They're figuring out they're not fun to play, they're overpowered, and they're doing shotgunning. Yes, in the dev blog, they say shotgunning has become a problem, which they're going to address. And as you could just see right there, I did everything I was supposed to do in World War II. A destroyer is supposed to hunt down submarines, but what? I can't do anything about it other than I have to drive over top of them, have no way of engaging them while they're underwater. My hydro sonar, which is what's supposed to hunt submarines down, is ineffective unless I'm almost within 2 kilometers or almost over top of them. And by the time I'm over top of them, they can just dive real deep, and I have no idea where they're at if I don't have hydro. And then, of course, I'm spotted from the moon, and everybody's shooting at me. So not very conducive gameplay. I think, honestly, they should remove submarines or put them in another category. Like, have submarines go play convoys. This is World of Warships, okay? Not World of Submarines or Silent Hunter. There are games for that. Go play that. This is World of Warships where you're watching what it is right now, where torpedoes are flying, guns are blazing. At least the battleship can fire in the blind and shoot me and nail me in the smoke. At least see puffs of smoke they can firing from, or seeing my tracers. They can at least shoot me. Look, he's shooting at me blind fire right now. At least they can do that. A submarine, I can't do that. That's why they should remove submarines. And carriers are kind of not in the right place. I think they could do a better job of carriers in the game, but honestly, just make it World of Warships where it's just like clan battles, where you're basically just fighting, a certain amount of ships, 7 versus 7, and that's the kind of gameplay you want to play. And it's just like you don't go back to World War II and go, hey, let me drop a nuke on this map, and boom, the game's over, right? I mean, you don't do that. The whole purpose of this game is really to see how players go one-on-one, using positioning, using strategy, using aiming, things, and going one-on-one versus each other in a comparable complement of ships that makes it kind of fair and conducive to gameplay and style, and actually it breeds more innovation and strategy and tactics, as opposed to a submarine and a carrier are really just there to nuke on you. A couple other changes they did was a commander rework. As you can see, if you want to go back, you can look at videos of that. Well, they changed secondaries. They see how the secondaries aim, different categories for not just one commander does everything. Before, back in the day, one commander would have all the skills for every type of ship possible. Nowadays, I think they did a good job of this commander can do this particular destroyer skill set, and then this cruiser could do a particular commander skill set, and so forth. That was a good thing. I also like the fact that premium commanders were interchangeable among all the premium ships as well. That's really good. A lot of other good things I can think of. Let me know what you think is a good thing of where we're heading in the right direction. Are the new gameplay styles pretty good? Are there new things out there that they're adding to the game that make it look better? I think the graphics are great. I think the sound effects are getting better. The shooting. I wish they would add people walking around the ship and the deck and then manning the guns. I think that would be a really cool thing to see, a more realism in it, and keep it within a PG-13, friendly for all ages kind of style. But I still think it's a great game. There's no other game out there that is comparable to this. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Is there another game besides War Thunder and anything else? I haven't seen it. And really, where are we heading with this game? I think this game is heading in a gray area, because with the addition of the submarine CVs, I don't know. I think it's driving away a lot of player base, and I think it could be better. I think it could be doing better. I don't know. I mean, I think that they could really do a better job, and we can talk about a couple of things while we're just chatting here. You can watch the build at the end of this Gdansk gameplay here, but another video I'll pop in there in the background for the harugumo. So this was Gdansk gameplay. I'll add some harugumo gameplay if you like it. But what are things could we do to get better? I mean, what could this game really add to the mix to make it more enjoyable and keep the fan base around? So where are we heading? I mean, I think that, like I said, the biggest gripe and concern right now is really the submarine gameplay that's driving a lot of players around. I think Wargaming has addressed that. The biggest thing, the problem with the CV gameplay is, submarine gameplay is, it's not fun. I mean, you're going up against somebody that's underwater, that can periscope depth, that can see you, spot you from a long way away, especially as a battleship. Your countermeasures to it are very, very weak. I mean, you get a reload on these ASW, they call them air submarine warfare or anti-submarine warfare, but they're from the airstrikes. And as a destroyer player, which are the bread and butter of hunting submarines, you have to drive over them to drop depth charges, which is really not conducive to the gameplay, because where else do you actually drive your ship over another target to kill them other than ramming? I mean, that doesn't promote any kind of fun gameplay. I would say the whole purpose of this is kind of like tanks, and back when they used to have tanks where you're lobbing shells over hills. This is essentially that game where it's real-time lobbing shells over long distances to see if they hit, launching torpedoes long distance to see if they hit. That is the gameplay you're playing. But if you're trying to play knife edging, like where you want to just drive up to somebody and ram them, then this is not the game for you. And I know the game does allow that, but a lot of people don't like that. They want to see some kind of maneuvering, some kind of shooting, some kind of skill required, as opposed to just hiding underwater and being the silent hunter that submarines were so good at. And that was the purpose of warfare submarines. You're supposed to put yourself at such an advantage that it eliminates the enemy so badly that they don't want to. It takes the will to fight out of them, and that's kind of what this has done. The submarine has taken the will to fight out a lot of people, which have caused them to quit. And I mean, and that's what they're supposed to do. The submarine was literally an advancement in technology that just made warfare easier for the one that possessed it. Just like a stealth fighter or stealth bomber, where a stealth bomber can just fly over you undetected, drop a laser-guided munition on you and blow you up, and you have no idea where it came from and how to defend against it, other than shoot your guns wildly into the air, just like this, where I'm shooting my guns wildly into the water and nothing's happening. I mean, that's not really conducive to a fun gameplay. It's good for warfare in reality, but this is an arcade game where you're trying to promote and encourage people to play so you can make money for wargaming, right? So that's my spiel on that. But what could they also do better? Now, I'm sorry, where are we heading again with CVs? So carriers. The biggest gripe of carriers is the fact that they spot from everywhere. I mean, it eliminates the possibility of surprise attacks, where your maneuvering allows you to have the fog of war to your advantage. But the fog of war is eliminated when a carrier player literally is flying all the airplanes all over the place and spying on everything. I mean, that was what they did in World War II. You had scout planes flying all over the place. It would locate the enemy, and there's really nothing you could do about it. I mean, you don't have surface-to-air missiles. Your AA guns are only effective at certain distances. AA has been effectively nerfed a lot, and they've addressed that. AA just doesn't seem to work. And again, they're doing a rework on the carriers because they just seem to be not fun, overpowered, and broken. And people just don't like playing them anymore because, I mean, it's just boring. I mean, flying around, looking for ships, and dropping a bomb on them. Whoop-de-doo. Anybody can do that. What we're trying to promote is, hey, how do 7 ships moving together in unison in a convoy actually prevent another group of ships from killing them and sinking them using an array assortment of shells, guns, torpedoes, and just artillery? This is really an artillery game. But when you put airstrikes into it, it's not an artillery game anymore. That's kind of like what Call of Duty would be. Like, if you played Call of Duty, if you guys understand what Call of Duty is, it's a first-person shooter, not a airplane game. I mean, if you were literally going around flying a fighter jet in a first-person shooter, then why are you playing? I mean, you're a soldier. Now, I get it. Well, Call of Duty allows you to play airstrikes, but for a small, limited amount of time, not the entire game, right? And it would just be no fun if literally the airstrike went around and just murdered you guys the whole match, and you couldn't do anything about it. They were spotting you, blowing you up, and effectively limited your team from advancing or conducting any kind of actual effective gameplay. So I think that's one of the issues of the carriers. I think they should belong in a mode themselves, but of course they're not going to do that because that's a lot of where their investments were lying at, and it's hard for wargaming to actually admit they made a poor investment. Again, if you want to play World of Airplanes, there are plenty of other games out there that do that simulation-wise. Why are they adding this in the game? I mean, they should just make it its own mode, again, like with submarines. If you want to bomb a convoy like the Yamato, the famous Yamato battle where it was bombed by airstrikes, and watch the Yamato sink, great. Make that a game mode. But you're driving a lot of the player base because they don't want to be bombed. They want to have or unless you give them some kind of effective mean to actually fight back using player skill as opposed to automation. I think that's the biggest gripe that a lot of people have. Like, give us ability to control the AA guns and let me shoot down the airplanes, and that way it proves to me that my skill either led to my death or led to my victory. Right, that's the biggest problem. Again, with submarines, I'll give me some kind of effective tool to fight back. If you're going to give this one-sided ship so much power, then give me hydro sonar that allows me to spot a submarine from miles away, and that way I can effectively decide, hey, do I want to chase this guy down or actually, use a standoff weapon or something that gives that ability to just have some kind of even gameplay match. Where again, this is an arcade game; it is not meant to be so realistic to the point where, hey, I have a tool that you can't defend against. La-di-da, this is how we're going to win the game, and you're just going to watch your ship sink. That's my gripe on that. But what other things could they have done to improve? Now, what I do like, the fact is they allowed you, after you died, jump right back into another game and use the same ship to play another match. Before, if you notice back in 2015 on gameplay, the moment you died in that particular ship, for example, if I'm playing the harugumo right here, if I died, when I went back to port, I could not select the harugumo again until the previous match ended and the game was over. Then the ship would appear back in my port, and then I could take it out again. That led to very, very long wait times, and you had to stick around to watch the game, or if you wanted to play that ship again, and at the beginning, I only had like a few ships, and I could only play that ship. So it would be really enjoyable to help me grind up and improve my ability to get ships if you let me play it again as a game. It'd be really stinky if in Call of Duty or some other game where you had to wait for the match to end before you could get back in the game, as opposed to dying and respawning. I actually wish they did that, where they allowed just a time limit on the game and allowed you to, as soon as you die, you jump right back in the game like Call of Duty. That would be a really interesting gameplay where the ships just keep coming back and you're just trying to accomplish a capture the flag or a domination or an objective, and there's a time limit or a point limit, and eventually it's reached, the game's over. I think Call of Duty does a good job of that because it keeps the player engaged and always wanting to come back, trying something else out and using different strategies. But again, I don't know how much that would be on the server, how that would affect time limits on gameplay. I don't know. That is something I'm thinking out loud. A lot of the good things I like about the game, maybe right now, is so I would say the type of gameplay and the styles now are fun. They added more game modes, like airship and convoys. Those are interesting. They're fun. Clan battles is a very good, interesting thing I liked. They also added a lot of resources now, which I think is a bad thing because now you're just creating inflatable things. There's so much inflation going on right now. And I mean, you're adding steel, you're adding coal, you're adding Santa containers, you're adding doubloons, you're adding what other things? These special coins and event currencies. And when you start adding currencies like in real economy, you start inflating a lot of things. I think Wargaming is starting to notice that because they're doing these auctions for the Kitakame. They're trying to withdraw all the resources that have been out there in the game that are just overinflated. They're trying to get it all back because there are some players that are just sitting on millions, if not billions, of credits, and I don't know. It feels like it's overpowering other players. It's giving them an advantage. They can afford more things. It's pay to win. Well, I mean, what games are not pay to win these days? I know Wargaming has to make money. They're trying to make money, and I think that's another issue. Is it's favored too much. Again, this is a free-to-play game. It literally costs $0 to play. You just download it, you jump in. But, of course, if you want to rank up faster, you want to actually get more XP and rewards and things of that nature, you're going to have to pay a little bit of dinero here in order to get those additional bonuses, if you want to call them. You want to get some certain flags or certain camos, and back in the day, camos actually meant something, but nowadays it's just cosmetic and they cost currency. Interesting. I don't know why they don't make it cosmetic. Like you rank up, you get the cosmetic thing, just like in Call of Duty, for example. I'm bringing up Call of Duty a lot because my son plays it a lot. But if, for example, if you want to, in Call of Duty, you want to make your gun look cool, you can either buy it. I get it. You can buy it, or you can just grind the game and you unlock it just based on you playing. Why can't they use that with camos and so forth and things of that nature? Why do they have to make it cost a currency of some kind? It doesn't make sense to me. The other cool things, I like the ballistics. Now, Wargaming really needs to do a job. I think Flamu and a lot of other guys, Trendlast, and a lot of guys I watch, they are and Flambast, I think they talk about the coding of the game. There's been a lot of glitches, a lot of bugs. What game isn't without bugs and glitches? But there are some crucious things out there where there's been problems with aiming, reticle lock-on, like if you're aiming and then all of a sudden you look away, free look, and then it just starts shooting off in the wrong direction distance. You got RNG that you would think it would give you a citadel, or you would hit the target when it wasn't, and then you just take a woof shot. Just a random little I would say, glitches in the game that Wargaming can definitely improve. I think they need to upgrade their server, their engine, and everything. I think this engine is very, very old. I think they said this engine came from like a 2000s, a big world engine. I think there are a lot of better engines nowadays that can definitely handle this, that do a lot better job. Again, that costs a lot of money, I get it, and they may have to recode everything, which would cost a significant amount of money, and I think Wargaming just isn't ready to do that right now. They're just going to keep building on this code, and there's literally updates of this game every month. I mean, you're getting an update every month where they're releasing things. You almost have to keep up with everything. You got to be an avid follower of this game to keep up with everything that actually happens to this game, whether it be UI interface, the types of aiming styles, the guns, the modes, the extra additions like ripple fire, burst fire. Now the addition of super ships now. I mean, why can't they just call it tier 11? They call it super because you're limiting yourself. Are you going to have, if you want to have a new line of super ships, you're going to call it super ships times 2? I mean, come on. I mean, why don't you just make it tier 11, 12, and so forth? It gives you a little bit of room to wiggle there. And a couple of things I just added and just popped in my mind is, the introduction of super ships and these super uber abilities is starting to become a little bit kind of too out there. I mean, what kind of ship can reload and fire their guns in less than 4 seconds of free salvos? I mean, that's just not real, obviously, right? But this is an arcade game. I get it. They're trying to make it a little bit interesting and changing up the gameplay style, where it used to be just more focused on, seemed like realism, where you shoot, you reload, you start firing again. It just seems that's the basic premise, the baseline of what a game should be like. And they started adding all these things, like where you're having destroyers launch airstrikes, you're having ASW planes come out of nowhere, you're having bombers to just bomb the crap out of you unlimited times, you're having submarines that can never be spotted sometimes unless you're almost on top of them. A lot of things that are really, really arcadey. I'm always just waiting for them to add, maybe start to bring in the idea of missiles and stuff, because I think when I had the small one, the model actually shows a missile on top of the small one, which I'm going, man, are they going to actually start thinking about adding rockets in this game? That would be kind of really wacky. I mean, I know World War II did have rockets back in the day, and I'm not saying that wasn't a weapon of choice back in the day, but again, I don't know how they're going to implement it. Will they be guided? Will they be unguided? A lot of wild stuff. I mean, the introduction of radar and hydro and a lot of these things that kind of aid to the game. I don't like the storm effects. I mean, the purpose of storms. Why are we engaging battles in storms? I mean, yeah, make the seas rough and everything a little bit look cool, but when they reduce your spotting in the fog of war to the point where you literally have to be within 8 kilometers of something, like you're driving almost on top of ships, it doesn't seem very interesting. I think they should remove the whole fog of war thing and weather. I think it's a cool cosmetic thing, but not to affect gameplay. But I like the fog of war in the sense of the concealment, but they need to make a little better job as to how you're spotted. I don't know how to solve it, honestly. I mean, as soon as you fire, everybody's spotted anyway. So I think it should be initially nobody. If you're behind cover and you can't see a certain distance, then you should be able to at least see off in the distance a small little figurey thing. And as you get closer, the target becomes a little bit more visible, encouraging you to drive in more, as opposed to if you're 14 kilometers away and you can't see the thing through just sheer distance, the horizon line. I think that makes it a little bit more realistic and better, as opposed to this whole concealment. I mean, you have to build a commander to have concealment. Like, why not just bake that into the ship naturally? Why do we have to have a commander have this skill? Oh my gosh, this skill in this commander all of a sudden makes my ship more stealthy. Doesn't make sense to me. I don't like the concealment mechanics in the game. They should just be, hey, look, at this distance, you can spot a ship. The smaller the ship, the harder it is to see at longer ranges. The bigger the ship, the longer you see. Just like in real life, right? You zoom in on a binocular, you start looking around. It actually promotes scouting and and actually positioning. So I like that idea. Like right now, look at the map. There's this gray circle that's a storm floating by, and that somehow affects the game somehow. And I don't know. That doesn't seem realistic or fun to me. I think it should just make it the way. Keep it simple. I always use the acronym KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. As I teach students and as I'm an instructor, you keep it simple. It is enjoyable and fun. Make it this game about warships, using positioning. Make the graphics look superior, exquisite. The sound looks amazing, and kind of like Call of Duty does. I mean, it's the same gameplay style, right? You run around, you shoot, you duck, you hide behind cover, and you use strategy to win the game. And that should be the simplest technique. Stop making gimmicks where, in order to win the game, I have to be in a submarine that goes underwater, or in order to win the game, I have to be in an airplane dropping bombs from 10,000 feet and you can't hit me, or something like that along that nature right there. And it just seems very, very odd. on. Look at this. This carrier is sailing away, and that's how he's going to win. He's going to run around and hopefully not get shot at by the enemy. I mean, come on. That's not really fun. It's not conducive to gameplay, but those are my thoughts and concerns about the game, where we're going. I think it's going in a proper direction. People still play the game. People are still leaving the game, but I mean, it could get better. I wish they could improve the graphics, make it even better, focus on more on sound, graphics, gameplay, better game modes, make the ship super realistic, make the artwork look beautiful, and you bring back players and just stop with the whole making it so your players at a disadvantage. I'm talking about CVs and submarines, that they drive away players. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, bell button below. Appreciate all the support. And as always, hope you enjoyed the video. And we'll see you out there on the high seas. Drop a high. And as always, you guys stay safe and happy holiday season. Cheers.